Today we are meeting here in order to get the briefing from the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability on the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Bill, which is Bill 31 of 2023. This is the agenda that we are going to use. We'll get the apologies, then we get the presentation, we discuss, then we adopt minutes of the previous meeting, then we close our meeting. Thank you very much. Honorable members, can we get one who will move for the adoption of this agenda?
Chair Mantuli, I move for the adoption of the agenda as presented by you.
Mantuli, thank you very much. Any seconder?
Chair,
I see the hand of Mabu Roto.
thank you very much, Chairperson. I like to second the adoption of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members. Honorable members, we now proceeding with our meeting. With us today, we are with the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability. I'm not so sure whether the minister or the deputy minister is with us. I didn't get any indication except that we are with the DG and her entourage. DG, I don't know whether you are with the minister or the DM, or it's only you with other officials. DG, are you still there? Anyone from the department?
Sorry, Chair, it's Esther Maluleke. Good morning and good morning to members. I don't know what happened to the DG. Let me try and locate her. Let me check where she is.
Okay. Or can I check with you, Ms. Malek, who's going to present? Is it the DG or yourself?
Morning.
Morning. Ms. Maluleke?
Chair, I was talking to DDG Shoki. She'll be joining shortly. She was driving.
Is she
Thanks.
the one going to
Either
present?
her or DG will present.
Okay.
Shoki's in, Chair.
Okay. Good morning, Shoki. Morning, Shoki.
Morning, Chairperson. I'm in a
How are you?
space. I'm okay. I'm in a public space. There's a bit of noise and connectivity issues, but I've managed. I've logged on 2 devices. Don't be surprised. The one device I cannot get audio, but I'm on the phone as well where I can have audio access.
No problem. As long as you can be able to give us the presentation, if you are the one going to give the presentation.
I will step in. The colleague who's supposed to do it is on leave, and the DG is unable to connect without intermittent connectivity issues. Let me step in. I am with one of my colleagues, Esther. She will also be of assistance as and when a need arises. I can take you through the presentation. Can I start?
With pleasure.
Good morning once more, colleague. Members of the Multi-Party Women's Caucus and Chairperson, and thank you for affording. I've just arrived in Free State. There is an event that I am officiating that we are supporting as a department. It is for that reason that I couldn't log on time. Let me talk to the purpose of this presentation. The Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities submitted the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide.
I'm sorry, Shoki. Can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
move a little bit where you are, because there are a lot of noise
Let
on
me
your
see.
background?
I'm in
Maybe
a
you can get into the car
serious
if the car
public
is
space,
close
but
by.
let me move. Give me a minute. I think the car is better. Just give me a minute.
Yes.
I'm not far from the vehicle.
My apologies, honorable members.
Okay, I'm almost there, Chairperson.
Okay.
Okay, that should be better now. Okay, Chairperson, I was saying the Minister of Women, Youth. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay. The Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities submitted the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Bill 2023 with the intention to introduce it in Parliament in terms of Section 73 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. The purpose, my colleague, are you helping me? Okay. The purpose of this presentation is to brief the committee about the provisions of the bill. We can take the next slide.
This meeting is being recorded.
Then, in terms of our next slide,
Shoki, are you still there?
Chair, it's Esther
I think
Maluleke.
you
Can
need
I just,
Yes.
can I
yes.
just step in
Assist,
and
please.
take you through this? DG
Please.
Shoki, I'll just do the presentation quickly. Thanks, honorable members, and sorry about this. In terms of this slide, the bill seeks to establish a statutory body to be known as the National Council on Gender-Based Violence, in line with the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide that was approved in 2020 March by Cabinet. And the objective of the Council is to provide strategic leadership and political guidance towards the elimination of gender-based violence and femicide in South Africa. And according to the NSP, the Council will be legislated and derives its mandate from the Constitution and international and regional instruments, Cabinet Instruction 2012, and the Declaration of the Presidential Summit on Gender-Based Violence. Next slide. This slide talks to provisions of the bill. Clause 1 of the bill consists of definitions. Clause 2 provides that the purpose of the bill, as I said earlier on, is to provide the establishment of the Council as a statutory body which acts through a board and is responsible for providing strategic leadership on elimination of gender-based violence in South Africa. This clause also seeks to provide for a multi-sectoral and intersectoral approach towards the implementation of the NSP on GBV. It also seeks to affirm a national commitment to building a society that is free from all forms of gender-based violence. Next slide. Clause 3 provides that the Council is statutory body responsible for providing strategic leadership for the elimination of gender-based violence in the country in terms of the NSP and acts through its board. Clause 4 sets out the objectives of the Council, which among others are to facilitate a coordinated multi-sectoral approach between the state and civil society for the prevention of and response to gender-based violence, and to set short-term, medium, and long-term priorities aligned to the National Development Plan outcomes, the MTSF, and medium-term medium-term expenditure framework priorities, and the NSP. And clause 5 provides for the development of the action plan for the implementation of the NSP not later than 6 months after the establishment of the Council in order to achieve the purpose of this act. Next slide. And then clauses 6 to 14 provides for the composition of the board and all related matters. The board shall consist of a maximum of 13 members, of whom 7 must be from civil society structures, 6 representatives from relevant government departments, and executive officer who is ex officio member of the board without voting rights. Members will recall that this particular clause that talks to the composition of the board membership. This number is determined based on the declaration, the 51-49 split. According to the bill, the board shall consist of 13 members, of which 7 will be represented, as I said earlier, from civil society, and 6 shall comprise of the following government departments: Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Department of Justice and Consular Development, Department of Health, Department of Social Development, South African Police Services, and Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. Again, members, just to say, those departments, 4 of them are currently the members of the Interministerial Committee on Gender-Based Violence, and then the bill brings in COCTA and Department of Health, because they play a very, very critical role in terms of rolling out the NSP. And then board members shall hold office for a period not exceeding 3 years, but eligible for reappointment for a period of not exceeding 3 years. Remuneration and allowances of board members shall be determined by the minister in consultation with Minister of Finance. The minister may remove a board member for, among others, misconduct, incapacity, and incompetence. Next slide. And then clause 15 provides that the board shall appoint the chief executive officer, who must have qualifications and experience relevant to the functions of the council. In addition, the CEO must have knowledge and expertise with regard to matters related to the purpose of this legislation, and the CEO shall hold office for a period of 5 years and may be reappointed for another period not exceeding 5 years. And then in terms of clause 16, the CFO must actively manage the business affairs of the council by, among others, obtaining and allocating resources consistent with the strategic objectives, and make timely adjustments in strategies when conditions and circumstances change. In addition, the CEO must carry out a comprehensive budget process and monitor the council's performance against the budget. And clause 17 provides that the CEO is the head of the secretariat of the council and must, in consultation with board, appoint and supervise the staff of the council. The conditions of employment and remuneration of the executive officer and the staff of the council are determined by the board in consultation with Minister and the Minister of Finance. And clause 18 provides for the funds of the council, which consists of monies appropriated by Parliament, donations or contributions received from any source, trust funds vested in it, interest derived from investments, and money derived from any other source. Whereas clause 19 provides that the financial management of the council is the responsibility of the chief executive officer, and clause 20 provides that the accounts and balance sheets of the council must be audited in terms of the Public Audit Act 2004. And the board shall submit to the minister the audited annual report and certified financial statements not later than 31st August of every year. The minister must table the report in Parliament within 30 days of receipt. The board, through the minister, may make recommendations to the president on legislation and interventions to combat gender-based violence and femicide. And clause 21 prohibits anyone from using the name, logos, designs of the council without written authorization. And clause 22 empowers the minister, after consultation with the board, premiers and mayors in the provincial and local spheres of government, to prescribe norms and standards for the establishment of the provincial and local gender-based violence structures. Whereas clause 23 gives the minister powers to delegate some powers conferred to the minister by the Act and certain duties to the employees of the council, members of the board and committee of the board. Clause 24 provides that the minister may, after receiving recommendations from the board, make recommendations on matters relating to implementation of this Act, and clause 25 is the name of the Act and commencement details. And that was the last slide, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Esther. Is the DG back now? If you want to.
Yes, I've managed to join. My apology, I'm driving in Lusiki City, so we're at the mountains. I couldn't join, it kept on kicking me out.
Okay, I wanted to check if there's something that you need to add before I give the opportunity to the honorable members.
Yes, I would like to, because the last time there were areas which members were not happy about it. On the bill, I'm trying to get a bill on the functions of the council. In terms of what the council will be doing, there were people who were not happy about what the council is going to do. I think you have been given the bill. Oh yeah. No, thank you. Let's start from section 5. If you can go to section 5. I think why I want us to look at section 5, it's because most of the people are not sure what the role of the council is going to be. Even in the province, how they are going to be constituted in the province. In the provinces, most provinces, when we were still consulting, they were worried that there are so many structures that are being established. And they were saying, why don't you use the existing structures that have been established and that are functioning and that have a budget? Because most of them have a budget. You'll come and start a council which doesn't have a budget and it doesn't function. So there are already victim empowerment structures. There are already structures that have been established by the provincial security, liaising departments and all those. So how do we put them together so that they can work together? So that's why the council will have a role of coordinating and facilitating the structures that are already existing so that they can be able to implement the national council, the national strategic plan on gender-based violence and femicide. Yes, it says to develop an action plan not later than 6 months once they've been established. The action plan is based also on the strategic plan on gender-based violence. They're not going to come up with a new plan, but it will be how to implement. The plan will be how to implement the strategic plan. And to ensure that, as Esther had indicated, that ensure that they are adequately costed. But we all know that the National Treasury decides how much any department or institution can have. We've been communicating with the National Treasury to ensure that the National Council will get more than the 5 million that we're getting now, because now all it has is 5 million. And we cannot expect the National Council to be effective if it's just going to be given 5 million for resources and programs and all those. There is a challenge. Why do I want to focus on functions of the council? During the consultations, the public consultation by the portfolio committee, you'll realize that there's civil society that are saying they are going to reject it, they're not going to be happy because it doesn't, the bill doesn't include the allocation of finances to civil society. Our argument is that the Department of Social Development, which already has a budget, has a responsibility to allocate budgets to civil society. So if we're going to take that responsibility, the council will take a responsibility which doesn't have resources. So its responsibilities will be to ensure that it facilitates strategic partnerships, as I've said, between the council and all relevant stakeholders and government and others. Yes, to administer appropriated funds by Parliament, but those will be for the running of the agency and some of the programs that they will implement. Let's go up. Let's go up. To coordinate the monitoring, and evaluation of programs of government, to ensure the establishment and maintenance of platform for sharing of information. At the end of the day, yes, I was saying go up under 5 because you've gone down. You've gone down instead of up. We're focusing on functions. Can you please go up? Who's managing the? Go up again. Yes. I was still on administer funds administer funds appropriated by Parliament in consultation with the minister, facilitate the establishment of intersectoral multi-sectoral structures to jointly prevent and respond to gender-based violence and femicide. I wanted to stress this because the purpose of the council is more on prevention rather than duplicating, because it doesn't have courts, it cannot prosecute, it can't do all those things. But if it can coordinate and facilitate that civil society, government, private sector, and all members of society work together to prevent gender-based violence, the council will have achieved what it's supposed to achieve. But all of us have to work together. And the National Council will submit a report to the minister. I think it's section 20, will submit a report. Can you go to section 20? Will submit a report annually to the minister for the minister to table the report to table the report in Parliament. So the report will be submitted to Parliament. Parliament will be involved because that is the question that we're always asked, whether what is the involvement of Parliament. Parliament will receive the report from the minister, that is from the council. I think that is what I wanted to stress, but if there's any question, I will respond to the question.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, this is the presentation. Can we start engaging the presentation? Thank you. Honorable members. Honorable members.
We are here, Chair.
Yes. Oh, now I can see the hand of Makaula, then Minister Zulu, and then Honorable Mananiso, Honorable Hlengwa. Makaula, you can start.
Good morning, Chair and our members. Ngibonga i-presentation and ngibonga nokuthi singene, although izulu lihluphala leyana. Hayibo, kwenzakalani? No, Minister, mina ngiyabonga if le president ekwazi ukukhuluma kamnandi kanje njoba ithi fanele wonke lama stakeholder ahlangane. Ngoba uyabona nje inkinga eziningi zigcina seyithwala umnyango oyi-1 mina engakhuluma ngawo like social development. Labanye awubaboni bakuphi la bazolisana khona ney'nkinga ezithinta abantu besifazane, ngabe abakhubazekile, ngabe abareshiwe. Ingakho ubona siqhamuka sesizothi siya-reject. Because laba bantu awubaboni ukuthi bakuphi, basebenzani nini ngasikhathi sini. And abantu besifazane lana eSouth Africa bayizisulu. Umnyango nje mina ngakhuluma ngawo ngithi mangabe siney'nkinga umnyango osigcina usuya kuwona, ngabe khona abareshiwe, ngabe abahlukumeze kanjani, social development. Manje ugcineni ugcina sengangathi manje uyena yedwa osebenzayo. UCGE njoba ngisho ukuthi nabo ukwazi ukusilekelela, kodwa ekugcineni nawo ugcine sengasawuboni usushaya indiyandiya. Sacela ukuma lapho nje mhlawumbe ngizobuya ngibuye. Yingakho sinenkinga yokuthi Chair, lezi mali ezikhishwayo sigcina thina singayiboni. Kuba kuya ngami ngabe ithathwa lezi mali zifakwe kakhulu ngale kwa social development, because uyakwazi kuya kubona uyokhala ngey'nkinga basukume, bayakwazi nokuthi benze sure ukuthi bathumela abantu abayobheka lezo nkinga, like abantu abakhubazekile. Mina ngasho lokho nje ngiqinisa because I'm not talking about hearsay, ngikhuluma ngezinto esizenzayo. Laba abanye awubazi ukuthi bakuphi bacashe kuphi, but kodwa izimali bayazithola. Yingakho ngithi lana kufuneka sidlale ngalento yokuhlukumezeka kwabantu besifazane, ukureshwa kwabo, ngabe ukushawa, abantu abakhubazekile. Njoba lina nje kuyimanje abantu bayahlupheka eminyango besifazane ney'ngane banethelwa zindlu, babonakali lo mnyango ukuthi kuphi uyobalekelela. Nakulezi zinto zemnotho awubaboni, ukuze sigcine thina sesiyohlupha social development, kube yiwona okwazi nokuthi akubeke ethambeni ngokusumela phezulu. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much, Makaula. Minister Zulu.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and ngibonge kakhulu uMakaula. Impela, I do want to say uyasgijimisa, jokes aside. everywhere she gets, she calls, and genuinely so, by the way, because she will always be calling on things that are really of major concern to our communities. And we try to respond in the best way that we can. Siyabonga, Makaul. I also want to ride on what also Umakaula said here, because my view is masikule platform le esikuyo le, a platform for us as the Women's Caucus of Parliament, and I'm recalling back to where this whole thing started, of even forming the caucus, and the caucus of women being able to be united in times when we need each other most. And this is, in my view, one of the times when we need each other most, because UDG, for instance, when she raises the issue of too many structures and structures that do not also have the budget, it is also about splitting the very little budget that is there when you look at the demands of the entire country around this. So firstly, I wish to thank the department for having really remained resolute and consistent, even though the criticism out there has always been like, things move very slow. But this is how government works. If a bill has to be passed or any law has to be passed, we have to go through these long processes, which sometimes end up not making immediately the necessary impacts that it needs to be done. I would like to request, and through the minister, obviously, and I must say this department, I must tell this caucus, that this department, when it comes to accountability of each and every one of the departments in relation to responding to issues of women emancipation, women empowerment, people with disability and youth, this department has developed accountability processes which have to be done by each and every one of us as ministers across the board. And I must tell you, they struggle, as Umakaula is saying, that sometimes you have the departments who are also supposed to be supportive of these plans and action plans, especially that are related to women's empowerment and GBV in particular, because our experience as the Department of Social Development with regard to the gender-based violence is that unless we mobilize society as a whole, not to be pointing fingers at each other and shouting and screaming at each other, but ensure that we are supportive of each other and all the departments are held accountable, even by this caucus itself, because it's the responsibility also of this women's caucus to call us as different departments and ask us, what exactly are we doing in as far as the gender-based violence action plans that are already existing? And how is this council that we are talking about here going to relate with us, and how we are going to relate with this? Because it's a two-way process. It's never a one-way process. So I wish to thank the department for taking us this far, but indicate to the caucus meeting that even the formation of this council itself, it came through a very painful process where we also as women started even pointing fingers at each other rather than just coming and saying what actually needs to be done. Going forward, this caucus, in my view, must also, yes, hold us accountable as departments, but also remember that we must help each other in advocating against the fight against gender-based violence in a very united form. Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry I couldn't put my video because the network is very bad. I've got load shedding where I am.
No problem, Minister, but thank you very much for coming and you are assisting. Honorable Mananiso, you are the one following now.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. Let me start by actually wishing everyone on the platform the Happy African Day. And one would want to appreciate the presentation as well as the clarity in terms of what has been noted previously as areas where, as the caucus, we were concerned about. And one would want to as well repeat that I'm partly covered by the minister by saying that at least we have come too far till this far, and we are moving to the right direction. Noting what the bill wants to assist on in terms of uniformity, professionalism, and as well signage from national to the lower structures, one would want to say that it is at this time that such should not be postponed for further engagement or other things. We need to accept and take this bill through NA so that it becomes adopted, because it will be for us as this sixth parliament as a legacy that at least there's something that we have done to address the issue of gender-based violence and femicide. Because if not, we could have failed those who are been crying about this sketch of gender-based violence and femicide. So one would want to say that we are on course as the caucus, and it is at this time that we need to write our history as South African Caucus, Multi-Caucus Party for Women. So one would want to say, I'm happy about the work that has been done by the department. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mananiso. Deputy Chairperson, Mahlengwa.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me greet my network. Let me greet all the members, honorable members, and Enco Makaula and the Umtwana Lapaya Minister wa Social Development. Nami ngomunye nje wabamhluphayo ngimfonele ngithi namba abantu bamilela. Sithokoza kakhulu umntwana ukuthi awuthukutheli kodwa uyakwenza lokho. Let me come to the department itself. I have just a seeking clarity question that is this department aware that she's carrying the burden of the women of the very same caucus? Because when we talk about youth, we talk about disability, we talk about femicide, we talk about women. People who are suffered are the women. And I'm a little bit puzzled about the formation of the board, because my little knowledge, you will bear to me, Chairperson, my little knowledge knows that there must be 1 or 2 members from this committee so that they will go to that board and come and brief us what we should do, what we not do, what is in our view. In terms of members of multi-party, they are vast. The cascading of information is easily, if you can get some members from this board, from this caucus, to be the member of the board so that they can cascade the information. Sengcina angithokoze Mama Khawula ngokushilo, is it true sigcina sesubhijimisa umnyango wakwa social development, kodwa ke siyabonga ukuthi nawo uyavuma. Ngiphinde ngisho ngithi angibike kulomnyango, angibike kulamakhosikazi ukuthi impi esihlale silwa njalo ye-DNA njengamanje siyamwina uforensic usesenzela kangcono. Uyabona nje KZN asisenakho ukuba sistakhe ngabantu. Kade sinwaba nje basho nabantu nge-weekend engozini yemoto abawu-3 uforensic wasenzela bangcwaba. Ngakho konke lokho siyafisa ukuthi sikushayele ihlombe ngoba kusuke kuyi-burden yabantu besifazane. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you very much, Mahlengwa. Honorable Sharif.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, please, I'm going to put my video off as I am on the ground.
No problem.
And my network might not be as stable. Am I audible, Chairperson?
Yes, you are.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, just a couple of things. My first one is I agree with Mamhlengwa that the composition of the board is concerning. Out of the 13 members proposed, there should be 5 that is being drawn directly from government departments. I think that, and maybe just some clarity on why that is the case. Because if you look at the National Council, if you look at the NSP, the NSP speaks about that 51% of its members must come from civil society. And if we are, if we're going to be using the NSP to inform the bill, maybe just some clarity around there. Chairperson, one of the provisions that I'm really concerned about is the provision of funding. I think that's clause 18B and 18E. Determines that the funding of the council may consist partially of donations or contributions received from any source. What's concerning, Chairperson, is that the provision of funding, it says it must be utilized with conditions imposed by the donor or the contributor. So, Chairperson, this is concerning because it could, the donors or the funders, it doesn't have any sort of stopgap for abuse or how donors want their money to be used. So I would propose that either this clause is removed in its entirety, or if donations are permitted, it should be done without any strings attached. The worst thing is getting a funder and says my money can only be used for X or for Y or for Z. I think the board should be able to have the capacity to determine their budgets and how the money is spent. And I'm very worried that donor X will see this loophole and try and use it in a way that is skewed to their benefits or to what they want to be seen within the council. I think it's open to abuse. And I think maybe the department needs to really look at that. Chairperson, the next thing I wanted to speak about definitely lays within how does this bill ensure that the National Council of GBVF is indeed has teeth? I think that's the best way I can put it. Oftentimes we see councils or statutory bodies that has more of an oversight role than an implementation role. So how does the department foresee that this bill or that the council will actually be able to do what they are mandated to do? I'm very concerned that the National Council of GBVF will just find itself being a report producer, producing reports that is given to the president or the minister, because in the NSP it does say that the board will report directly to the president and through the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. I just want to find out how do we ensure, and I think if we're going to go through the legislation process, we might as well legislate that the powers and the functions of the council so that they are able to directly hold, for example, police accountable, social development accountable, justice accountable, and have an active role in ensuring the end of GBVF. Chairperson, at the end of the day, gender-based violence and femicide continues to ravage this country. And one of the biggest weaknesses of government is that even though the Department of Women is not an implementation department and they rely on other departments which are implementation departments like police, social development, justice, correctional service, justice and correctional services, health, education, all of these departments that actually implement services for people. I just don't want the council to just be another level of government, council, committee that doesn't have any real power to effect change. I think if we're going to because we're doing this for the first time, let's get it right the first time. Let's ensure that the council, one, has the powers to implement, has the powers to hold government, other government departments accountable, and is not just left as a report developing council, because then that would be a waste. And it would be a waste not for us as government, but for women on the ground that have been waiting for this council as a way of hope for them to feel safer in the country. Chairperson, I'll leave it there for now. As a member of the Committee of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, we will interrogate it a little bit further, but I'll allow other honourable members in case I may have missed something. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sharif. Honorable Ngwenya. Honorable Ngwenya.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, for giving us the opportunity to participate in this meeting. And I welcome the presentation from the Department of the Bill. My questions are as follows, Chair. 1, on international benchmarking, gender-based violence and femicide is a global crisis. Bullet number 3 of the slide 2 of the presentation mentioned that the Council gets its mandate from the international and regional instrument. In developing this bill, Chair, I wanted to check that has the department conduct any benchmarking international study to countries which have the similar bill? And if yes, which countries have similar laws to the gender-based violence and femicide? The second question on the Board of Council, I want to check that will the minister, when appointing the Board of the Council, particular the 7-person, ensure that there is fair representation of the vulnerable groups in the board, such as persons with disability and LGBT plus community. The bill should be specific about its work in ensuring inclusivity. Last question, Chair. I want to check what will be the relationship of the new council be with the Commission for Gender Equality in dealing with GBVF, and how will the department ensure that these two entities work together to effectively fulfill their responsibility? I thank you, Chairperson, once again for the opportunity. Nyabo.
Thank you so much, Mangwenya. Honorable Mkonto.
Thanks, Chair. I will also request to switch off my video. My network is not good. It's raining cats and dogs where I am.
You are like
Chair, the presentation is welcome, and thanks for the work that has been done already. But Chair, my concern is at the point of cascading the roles and responsibilities of this caucus to local level. I think we'll all agree that gender-based violence and femicide happens at local level. But then my input will be that let's make sure that these structures, when cascaded down to specifically to local level, we have the same caucuses at provincial, the multi-party caucuses at provincial and local level. And that when it is at local level, in most cases, such councils like the AIDS councils and so forth, they are being headed by executive mayors. But you will agree with me that mayors now have a huge responsibility of service delivery. Can't we at local level identify people with a less burden of responsibilities to head this one of a GBV? Because you will find that it is a little bit neglected because the focus of the person given the responsibility is on some things that of him are of a better interest. That will be my input, Chair. The caucuses at provincial and local level for all women as councillors and members of provincial legislature to know exactly where we're coming from and where we're aspiring to get to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Makaula, you want to come back? Or let me take the hand of Honorable Lucas, then you will come in.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm sorry for we are really not even one of us are in a position to put videos because of the time we got notice. No, but also, Cape Town is raining and we are just out of load shedding this moment. So, but my point was always that we need, okay, sorry, let me start again. Good morning to everyone and thank you very much for the presentation. I think it's not the first time that we've been discussing this specific topic. My point have always been that as Parliament, we've got, and particularly the Multi-Party Women's Caucus, we've got this responsibility to make sure that we enforce our structures and we strengthen them. Now, the point where I'm at is that we are going to set up a new structure. But when we did, the assessment of the existing structures, like our women's caucuses at the different levels, but also the gender machinery, we found that at the level of relationships and at the level of our strength to be able to implement whatever programs is existing, but also to really drive the program against gender-based violence and femicide, we found that the issue of coordination remains a challenge. It remains a challenge, and we have really not been in a position to make sure that our structures, funded of unfunded, function optimally. I know that we have agreed that we possibly need structures that can coordinate better at this level. Mine is really a general point that I want to make. And that is that if at all we are going to continue the way we have already discussed these issues of the structure that is going to be set up, we will have to make sure that the existing structures will not really find themselves in a position that they don't know what they are supposed to be also doing within the broader picture and in the broader framework of existing issues. Because we tend to set up structures and then we pretend as if we are reinventing the wheel right from the start. There have been existing structures, they have been functioning, not optimally, they need a lot of support and so on. So we hope that the structures that we are going to set up will be able to seamlessly cooperate with those that are existing. And we will be able to say that in terms of what our objective is and what we want to achieve in terms of addressing the issues that is really plaguing us, we need to be able to say that this structure, as it is being established together with the existing structures and together with the existing programs, it will be seamlessly integrated. I think I'm just making this general observation because we are getting concerned that on the ground, the situation is really aggravating, but we are still sitting, trying to find ourselves, making sure that there is a structure that is existing. But also, there is one thing, and that is my own view. I don't want anyone to say anything about what I am going to say now. In many instances, when we put up the structures, we begin to find that people have got their own ideas of what they think the structure is supposed to be achieving. Can we just have clarity of understanding of where we are moving from and where we want to be and where we are going to? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson. Makaula.
Thank you very much, Chair. Hey, ukuthi nje singane lesikhathi enisinika sona kanti ngokomthetho le portfolio committee le multi-part ibalekile esawumama bala eSouth Africa special eParliament. Chair, ngemvume yakho nje Lana Western Cape. Angazi ukuthi ngizobeka kanjani ngoba akufuneka isixubane. Bengizoke la ngibheke uminister uzongiphendula maybe manje or uzobona kanjani. Bayahlupheka abantu bakhona, even ama-case ababanawo minister chair agcina ekhamsile engathathwe notice awe-rape awokubulawa kwabantu bakhona nginenqwaba yama-case kodwa othola ukuthi akasebenzi amaphoyisa lana akafuni. Okunye lana che ngenkulu imvume yakho ngihlushwa ifoni la ilokhu icima la lana ngemvume yakho ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi la mathaveni nawe esibona nawo ewumthelela kule yama-rape nokubulawa kwabantu njengoba iy'ngane zethu intshontshwa zihamba zothathwa ama-body party. Mhlambe niyazi nokuthi sekukhona nohlelo olusha lokubheka ukuthi kwi-sanitary towel umntwana
Makaula.
Hi, we're losing her.
Makaula.
Chair.
Yes, Makaula.
Yes, sweetheart.
No, you can repeat yourself, ma.
No, ngithi mina angazi ngenze njani singomama. Ngoba la sinenkinga yama-case like e-Western Cape. I-Western Cape ayinakiwe. Akekho umuntu ofuna ukusebenza ngabantu bakhona. Kunama-case amambi kabi koGugulethu oPhilip. Kodwa yakwenzeki lutho. Secondly, nendlala yababulala balwadale abantu bala because abanawo lento ekuthiwa ama-voucher. Enye into ke kunini la thina singomama esobiza khona lezi nyanga okuyizona eziwumbangela walento yokubulawa kwabantu nokuthatha ama-body part ngoba ethi bayoceba na. Nokuthi ke siphume siyomama sivale utshwala sithi kwanele njengomama basemkhumbane abahamba bovala lama-tavern avula 24 hours to make sure ithi sasa lentsha yethu ayiyi phambili njoba even ema-university koma-primary school sekufakwa lezi dakamizwa. Yinini lana inini lapha singomama siphume khona sithi hulumeni we are sick and tired lelizwe sogcina singenazo iy'ngane ngama-drugs ngalobu utshwala. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much, Makaula.
Sibize nenyanga lezi ey'thwalisa abantu okuyibona bona benza ukuthi akuyibona bona benza ukuthi abantu babulala abantu yilaba bamhlophe ngoba bethi bazoceba.
Thank you so much, Mam Kaula, Masbongile. Some of the issues that has been raised are not going to be responded by the department, but I'm happy that we do have Minister for Social Development here, even if it's not the issues that need her alone, but at least I know that she's here, she can respond in some of the things. Thank you very much, honorable members. I'm now going to give to the department to respond on some of the issues that has been raised by honorable members. The department DG.
Thank you, Chair. Oh, I was not aware that Minister Zulu has joined. She's our minister today. That's why she's here. She's the Minister for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities today. As you said, that maybe somewhere she'll want to intervene, but I can respond to some. And I'm happy that you've already indicated that some of the things we will not respond to, because for today we're focusing on the bill. And
DG.
one thing that, yes, can you hear me? Yes?
I do hear you, but you should have stated that when we started, because I saw her that she's here, but I wasn't aware that she's here today on behalf of your department. I thought she's here because she's the member of the multi-party women's
Remember,
caucus.
Chair, I joined late because I was driving. I met Lusikisiki as we were driving down the mountain. I couldn't see. So I only heard when you said Minister Zulu. That's when I thought, yo, my minister is here. That's why, but I couldn't say then. That's why I'm saying it now.
No, thank you very much. Meaning that Minister Zulu will wrap up after your responses. Thank you very much. You may go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to clarify the issue of the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities and CGE presence in the provinces. With the CGE, they are better. They have a provincial presence, even though their numbers are very little. The Department of Women is at the national office only, so it is not everywhere. However, we do try our level best. You see, now we're at Lusikisiki. But I just want to indicate that the council on the funding, the national treasury, that is why we talk about what's that? Appropriated funds by Parliament. It will get a budget from the national treasury. And as I was speaking earlier on, I've indicated that currently it gets 5 million. So we want it to get a better budget, because the council will not be able to do anything if it's given this little budget. The council, even though it's going to coordinate what exists in the provinces, it must have a presence in the provinces, or people who will be doing the coordination. So with the funding, most donors, even your EU and whatever, when they give you the funding, the donor funding, they'll say, we want ours to focus. Obvious, it can't accept money which is not for gender-based violence, because its a mandate is gender-based violence. So whatever budget that it will get, it will be on gender-based violence. Some of the funds will say you have to use it within 3 months, or you have to use it in this way. That is exactly what it's saying. Doesn't mean that people will come and say, don't use it for gender-based violence, use it for something else. And then on the issue of representation, from the declaration that was signed by the president to the National Council on Gender-Based, to the National Strategic Plan, it says 6 from government and 7 from civil society. And on the issue of representation, it has already been presented. People who will be in the board are not going to be in the board to represent their stakeholders. They will be there as members of the board who have fiduciary duties to the board. They have to report in terms of the budgets and all those. So the teams that will be put together, because the act says the council must facilitate the establishment of structures. So the structures that would do a monitoring and evaluation would be coming from all the stakeholders that have an interest, whether it be multi-party and the structures that are already existing in the provinces, as indicated earlier on that. And even though it will facilitate the structures, it will be putting together the structures that are already in existence in the provinces, so that everyone is able to make inputs in the eradication of gender-based violence. The council on its own will not be able to end gender-based violence is when everyone in South Africa, whether it be government or it be civil society and everyone, be involved in the eradication or in the prevention of gender-based violence. In terms of the council having powers over police and all those, we already have ICD. I'm not sure what will be the role of ICD. But also government will be reporting to the council, because 6 from the government departments that have been identified will already be sitting in the council. But also the council says the minister can co-opt any other government department that has a role in terms of of addressing gender-based violence. I want to see what else. In terms of benchmarking, actually, other countries are benchmarking from South Africa in terms of how South Africa coordinates issues of yes, gender-based violence is rife, and I'm not going to belittle that. But South Africa does attempt to address gender-based violence. I think it was Nigeria and other countries who wanted to learn about the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence. Other countries want to learn about the TCCs and all those. So we have not gone to other countries, but this has been informed from, as our minister has said, that the whole thing started with civil society calling government to come and account on issues of violence against women. In terms of fair representation, the bill already addresses that. And the relationship with the CGE, the CGE Act is very clear in terms of what the role of the CGE is. And the CGE can participate in some of the structures that are going to be established in the communities, but the CGE is not going to be in the council itself, because the CGE, it's a Chapter 9 institution, which is independent. So what they've said was that they will play an oversight role on the council, as they've already started. They've even written a report on the implementation of the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence. And then in terms of cascading roles to provinces and local government structures, currently the department is working with CAUCUS and social development and police and other departments to establish the rapid response teams in the municipalities. So there are different departments and civil society and traditional leaders and others who are in those task teams. So those task teams will be able to respond quickly when there are issues of gender-based violence, more especially, as I said when I started, that the department doesn't have provincial or local presence, but the RRTs can facilitate that role where all government departments will be able to respond to gender-based violence quickly. And when there is violence, they can be able to lead people where to go to, but also they can educate the public in terms of gender-based violence. I think these are the there was something about a compensation of composition of the board. As I indicated, it's included in the act, and if people want to make inputs, they can make inputs into that, into the bill. I think I've addressed everything. I've answered everything. Esther is here also if she wants to make inputs before we give to the minister. Esther.
Before I give it to Esther, let me take the hand of Honorable Maris, because I can see that there were honorable members who were having a problem with the platform to join. Honorable Maris.
Good morning, Chairperson, and thank you for the presentation, Chairperson. I would like to say it's my first time that I've joined this group, and this is one or two concerns that I'm having, and I know that you people were discussing it on this group. It's just that this gender-based violence is a scourge in our country, and everyone knows it. There's a lot of NPOs and NGOs that is working with the same thing. But I think the first stop where we have to address this thing is that at police stations. The police stations is where the people go and complain about what is happening to them, and that is where the first training and awareness must be made, because when people go to the police station, the police are the ones that is not assisting these ladies that's been raped or has been abused by their husbands or by the spouses. So even though we have all these different groupings and organizations and a board and all these things, but while the police are not the ones that is the first one that gets this complaint, not been trained properly, we are going to sit with the problem forever. because you can go to a police station today and they won't be able to assist you. I've been there quite a few times with ladies where the husband almost killed and she had more than 3, 4, 5 restraining orders and all those things. But the police were not willing to help, not even going out to go drop this order with this lady. So we are discussing these things, but in actual facts, when it comes to the work being done from the police, that is where the whole thing is a problem, Chairperson. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. The department, Ms. Esther.
Chair, thank you very much, and thanks to the DG. Just two things that I think are very critical for the committee to note, and I think this will come up during public hearings. And I think members have already touched on them. DG responded very well on the composition of the council. But I think it's important for me to make the committee aware that those numbers of the board, of course, they're guided. We were guided by the 51-49 split as is captured in the declaration. But honorable members, when we were consulting on the National Strategic Plan and the establishment of the council, remember, we did two things when we were consulting on the NSP. It wasn't only on the NSP, but it was to ask community members, how do they envisage this council? They were very clear, women were very clear. And remember, we consulted both in rural and urban areas. They were very clear that they don't want a huge structure like SANEC, because that will be a resource consuming. They want a minimum thing, a small structure that indeed will drive coordination, as the DG has said. And they were very clear that since government has been responding to GBV, there are already a lot of structures on the ground. Members will recall your network on gender-based violence. For instance, they still exist in KZN. We now have RRTs. There's VEP structures, by the way, also, which also work on gender-based violence. There are community organizations. So there are structures. And the feeling was that we shouldn't duplicate. This council mustn't duplicate at province and local level. But as DG said, they must make the structures functional by coordination, by ensuring that they work together multi-sectorally, etc. So it's very important to note, because I know it's a big thing now. It will come up because people are saying, why is the council not duplication? If you go into the NSP, you'll see that we are talking at province and local level about working groups. So that will be a minimum team, which will be constituted according to the 6 pillars of the NSP. And their responsibility, as DG said, is to pull everybody at local level to work together and ensure that resources are allocated, but also spent efficiently and effectively. Having said that, I think it's important to remember why the 7th board, the number is so minimal. But it's going to be up to the parliament how they deal with this particular aspect. But I thought it's important that I raise it and you understand why such small numbers, not big numbers. What was the rationale? And why was the council designed in the manner that it was? But also, it was to ensure that, because currently, members, what is happening with reporting and accounting? The department gets reports mainly from government departments, because that's our mandate. That's what we take care of. But the council, remember, its responsibility will go beyond. Right now, we are not able. We say we must have a whole society approach, but which includes civil society and the private sector. But the department does not have the capacity to get reports from civil society organizations, etc. So it's another thing to remember, that the council will not only be focusing on government, but it will be focusing on everyone, the private sector and civil society organization, and hold everybody accountable, not only government and government departments, but also ensuring that we work with civil society as government, and stick and focus on the indicators, things that we need to deliver in terms of the National Strategic Plan. Thank you very much, Chair. I thought I should really bring these two elements in, as you will be conducting public hearings to understand the rationale behind the numbers and the decisions that were made. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DG and your deputy, for responding to the questions. Some were not questions, but inputs from honorable members. Is there any hands that need clarity on the presentation that we have just received? It's like there's nothing. Then I will give the opportunity to the minister. Today, the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability. But before that, Honorable Minister, I just want to thank you. You always respond to the calls. Since I'm serving on Social Development Portfolio Committee, you always there to give direction and also to assist and also to do your work as mandated by the African National Congress or by the president. So I just want to thank you, because when we started with this meeting, I thought the minister and the deputy are not in. And sometimes when you call the department to come and present, only to find that the minister or the deputy are not there, it's like maybe they are looking down on the invitation. That's why they are not appearing. But since I heard that now today you are here on their behalf, I just want to thank you, and also to give the word of encouragement to say, continue doing the good work. I think one day you are going to get your result. Be blessed beyond measures. Over to you, Minister.
Oh, thank you so much, Chairperson. You know, the blessings will be on all of us as women, being able to one day look back and say, this has been our hard work in a united way. This has been our hard work in a commitment and supporting each other. Chairperson, if I may.
Development, Digi Award,
I'm just saying, Chairperson, it's important for us to really look back where women of South Africa and women of parliament, for those who have been here pre-1994 to now, please recall that the very chairperson, the very minister of this women, youth and people with disability, who by the way is not here because she is in Addis Ababa and she's again continuing with the work, was once leading a women's coalition, the coalition that went to the Kempton Park during the talks to go and demand that women be part and parcel of the negotiations. That was one was not just an ANC meeting. It was a multi-party march that was organized by all women, irrespective of their background, irrespective of their color, irrespective of their religion. But of course, they were led in majority by Black women, because these are the women, African Black women, who were in the forefront. So, Chair, I am really heartful feeling presentation that is being made here, based on the unity of women. Also, even those who are outside saying, you guys are in there, we want you to stand up for us. Let us not be impatient with them. Let us not be intolerant of them, but also let us call upon them to not be throwing stones and calling names on other women who I know, as a matter of fact, stand up to make sure that they fight for women. So this process, what is exciting me about it is that it is still going to go out for public comment. So as members of the members of the CAUCUS, it becomes our responsibility to go out and mobilize other women to make the comments, because one of the weaknesses is about those who are unable, who don't even hear about it, who do not make the comments and hear about it after the effect, after it has passed. So this platform is for us to say, whatever our political differences, whatever our challenges, we face one thing in common. That is patriarchy, that is the abuse of women, that is young women and girls who are still finding themselves in difficult situations because the environment is still not yet conducive for women in general. I know what I'm saying would be something that the minister would have said, because I am here because I stand on the shoulders of those women. It wouldn't have been possible for me to be here if it wasn't for the fact of women like Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who've really stood up and said collectively, let us do what we need to do. Thank you for this opportunity. And I thank the department for having made the presentation. But of course, I'm a minister in acting, but also I'm a member of the CAUCUS as in general. But today, I also specifically needed to make sure that I am here so that the minister is not disappointed with how we then the next thing, you are not available. Thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you for those encouraging words. Honorable members, I do believe that we are done with item number 1 that we received from the department. And now, according to the agenda, it's like, can you go forward, Mandy? Mandy?
Apologies, Chair.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, honorable members. We're now going to look into our previous minutes. And the department, you are released. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Sila Chewu.
Just a smaller thing.
Deputy Chairperson, what is the smaller thing?
Thank you. Ngifisa nje ukwenza awareness kithi sonke. Ngibonile ukuthi asikunakile lokho, kodwa ngifisa sikunake in-nomination of beneficiary. Nomination of beneficiary, we usually nominate our husband and our husband nominate his wife. But in the incident I'm coming for, they both involved in a car accident and left children and no nomination. and we have to go to the magistrate and do declaration and affidavit and so on. Please, 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 asenze ama-nominations. Yebo sibenzile abayeni bethu, kodwa asiwenze ama-nomination aseceleni 1 or 2. Bengifisa nje ukwenza lo awareness. Sihlalo wami, ngiyabonga. Of beneficiaries, yes.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair, for that important notice. I think as this caucus, maybe we need to discuss it at length in future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, this is the set of minutes of the 23rd of March 2023. I do believe that honorable members have received this draft minutes. The summary on and of the outcome and decision of that set of minutes of on the 23rd, it was the committee adopted the outstanding minutes of the 3rd of November and the 23rd of February. The draft second term committee program was considered and adopted with the amendment. And then the decision on the study tour focus areas and country were deferred to a later date to allow further consultation with the National Assembly House Chairperson. The proceedings, that was the proceedings of the meeting. Honorable members, if there's something that you need to correct or something that you see that it needs to be added, maybe which is left there, you can stop me, then we deal with the issue. We're now on page 2. This is page 3. And this is the last page, I think, page 4. Honorable members, this is the set of minutes of the draft minutes. Is there anything that we need to correct? If not, can I get a hand to move for the adoption of these minutes as the true reflection of what transpired on the 23rd of March, 2023? Thank you very much. I see Honorable Lindiwe.
Yes, Chair, thank you very much. I move for the adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any seconder?
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Mananiso, I second the adoption of the minutes as a true reflection of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mananiso. Thank you very much, honorable members. I see the hand of Honorable Dlulani. Is there something that you want to say?
I was the first to raise my hand to adopt the minutes
And now when they were seconded, my hand was still up. But thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I didn't notice your hand that it was the first one. I saw the one that I've just showed that he must go ahead in moving for the adoption of these minutes. But thank you very much. Honorable members, it's like this was the second last on our agenda. Now we come to the end of our meeting. Thank you for being here time and again when we are called to come and discuss issues of women. But I also want to stress again the issue that has been raised by Honorable Minister to say, the issue of women is the issue of all of us. It's not the issue of any political party, but for us as women of this country, for us as women, let's make sure that we join hands in order to fight all the ills that are there facing us as the South Africans. But thank you very much, honorable members. The meeting stands adjourned.